Welcome to What You Need to Grow, the podcast where entrepreneurs discover the inspiration and perspective shifts that fuel both personal and business growth. Each week, certified professional coach Jennie Bellinger brings you powerful conversations with thought leaders, subject matter experts, and innovative company leaders who share their stories of growth and the tools that made it possible. From fresh insights that expand your vision to resources you can explore on your own journey, every episode is designed to help you grow your knowledge, grow your vision, and grow your business. Now, here's your host, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome to What You Need to Grow podcast. I am your host, Jennie Bellinger, and I have with me today actually someone who I've known personally and in business for quite a few years now. Carolyn Green is with Carolyn Green and Associates, and she has been in the marketing realm for a very long time, over 20 years, helping folks making marketing manageable so that they can reach their income. So welcome to the show, Carolyn.
Thank you, Jennie. So good to see you.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you because it's funny. We live 30 minutes apart from each other. And we see each other, I think, more on Zoom these days than we do in person.
We need to get back out on the lake. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, please. Let's do that. So how let's dig into how did you get into marketing? Is this something you've always done or what?
Yeah, actually, my degree, I'm actually one of those rare people that actually did what I studied. So my degree was public relations with a double minor in marketing and graphic arts. Went back for a journalism master's several years later. But I've always done something like that. And the marketing has just been the practical edge that people need right now. The last decade or so has been tough. And I've kind of pulled all of that into the marketing focus because that's more do this, get this result, and get results immediately, and it's tangible.
Right. And so what made you want to do marketing and public relations? Because
I took a class my freshman year in college, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I took a public relations class that was a case studies class, and great teacher, and she just kind of talked about how she showed case studies of things that had totally changed, total paradigm shifts on the world, and I'm like, oh, I want to be part of that. It was just simple things. One I remember offhand was Dove soap. Actually, I may not have the right soap, and like in the 1900s, you bathed once a week. You bathed on Saturday night to go to church on Sundays, and there was actually a campaign that changed how people did that. And it was so fascinating to think about when you think through something, if you get something right in your head and spread the message, how you can have an impact on the world.
Yeah.
And mine was a lot more than soap, but
right. No, and
it's just such a tangible example.
Yeah, no, exactly. And what came to my mind was thinking through what are some of the marketing campaigns that I feel shifted things in my lifetime, right? In our lifetime. And one of the things that popped up immediately was must-see TV, like NBC's Thursday night must still to this day. I haven't watched must-see TV in probably 20 years. But I still remember that. That was such a thing. You had to sit down and watch on Thursday nights because that's when Friends was on, when ER was on, Will and Grace, all of these massive shows at the time.
Right.
And it just shifted how people really thought about what night of the week you were going to watch.
Right.
And it led things into that. So, well,
a
that's
lot of
super
my clients
cool.
have been thought leaders that have a product or something. It's a better way to do things, but rather than having a product that you just put out there and there's selling a product, they're really doing the idea, and you really have to teach people the idea. You have to convince people that making this change would be a good thing. I work for a homeowners association. We needed a silt basin to protect the lake. We spent years convincing people that it was important, so that people really understand before they're willing to invest.
Right. And because honestly, then an educated public is more likely to stick around.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right? Oh my gosh. So, this whole podcast is about what you need to grow, right? So the contrast between personal growth and business development, business growth. And so marketing is obviously something that fits on the business growth side. And so we're going to spend quite a bit of time there, I think, too, but I think part of what I have found, at least for myself, is as a solo entrepreneur. Now I don't do business by myself. I have partners. I have people who help. My fiance is my tech guy and blah, blah, blah. But what I've learned is that as I've learned more about myself, my marketing has gotten better.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. And so that I think is that's where this intersection between personal and business development and business growth happens. So for you over the years, what have you seen happen in the marketing world that because you mentioned already in the past 10 years a lot has changed. So
Mhm.
what are you seeing now in the world of marketing that is more effective now than a few years ago?
Oh, the AI is the easy one.
Mm,
There is so much. It's just so fun to be in marketing right now,
yeah.
because I can do what used to take weeks. My chat GPT can do for me in seconds. I can
Mm,
I have a format of, I put in this, and this, and, whatever, and it spits out what I need in just seconds. That doesn't mean I don't spend hours refining what comes out, but the idea that I want to do a campaign and I want to launch on this date, and we need to have this milestone, and we need this result, and we need, so I put it all there, and, I can have a, 15, 20 page plan for a 90-day event or 90-day campaign
yeah.
done in 3 minutes.
Wow.
Now it takes me 4 hours. I still have to create all the materials, um, but even then, it'll help me create the materials.
Yeah.
Um, and I've taught it to write in my own style. So
Hmm.
I give AI a lot of stuff. So I'm giving it my writing style or my clients' websites, and it generates per my specifications very quickly. And then sometimes it can do a lot of the work. So
Right.
I am able to handle more clients than I've ever been able to handle before.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Yeah, because I think when you and I were first starting to get to know each other, I mean, AI was not even on the horizon. I mean, it was the middle of COVID or right before
Right.
COVID or something, right? And and
Before.
and so yeah, it was not a thing yet. And so
Mhm.
you could only take a certain number of clients because you could only manage X, Y, or Z now.
Right.
So that's so cool that it's not only helped your clients, but it's helped you be able to support more businesses to be able
And I
to get the visibility they need.
And I've been able to put my process on this new school platform that's getting all the attention. And with school, um, I can do the same amount of services that I do. So for a client where I'm implementing it all, it's going to be $1,500, $3,000 a month. For a large company, it's often even $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
But for a small person who's willing to do it themselves, they can work the same process I'm working with my clients, and do it for $100 a month instead of 3,000.
Okay. So just in case y'all have been under a rock in the business marketing world for the past few months, you may not be aware of what school is, what she's talking about. So it's SKOOL. So I'm just double checking that everybody knows that that's the you're not taking them to school, you're
It,
taking them to
it caught
school.
me by surprise for sure.
Yeah. So what have you found? Like what drew you to utilizing school to support more clients?
I took a
What made
class.
it so great?
Last fall, I took a class with Cody Birch. He has a fantastic system where he uses a Facebook ad. He calls it a list building machine. He sets it up once and it will forever give you leads for very affordable prices. You only pay for the leads it generates. So he has got it down to an art where he gets leads for his program for about $1 a person.
Okay.
And it's a person that he then puts on his mailing list and nurtures that way with the mailing list. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. A lot of my clients could use that. I took the class, did the workshop, but he offered the materials on school. So he, at the
Okay.
top of at each page of each task, he would have a video where he kind of talked through it in maybe 5 or 10 minutes that I could watch anytime. Actually, some of them were probably up to an hour, where I could watch the lesson and then
Yeah.
the very specific steps underneath it, and I work through the process. And I loved it, and I thought that was great. And I stayed in school and did some other classes with him, and have just watched some other groups that have formed. And just recently, they started offering, I quote, 9.99. I guess it was a $9 hobby plan. And literally the day I heard about it, I signed up for school because I'm working my clients through a process, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it would be wonderful. At that point, I wasn't thinking about selling it. I was just thinking about I'm working my clients through this process. I'm going to put it
Right.
on a school where they can just check it off and it's easy. They can do it anytime. They don't have to be with me on a call. It's just right there what for them when they need it.
Yeah.
And then once I got it done, or the first lesson done, I don't even have the whole quarter done, but I got the first 6 or 8 weeks of lessons. And I went, oh gosh, anybody do it yourself who wanted to work the process could do it themselves. So I am now trying to flush it out as a do-it-yourself platform as well and charge a little bit for that. But if I get subscribers, it's like I don't have to charge very much.
Right.
I make a little bit more money. They get a lot cheaper, and it's easier for all of us.
Right. And they
It's
get a
much less of
marketing.
my time.
Yeah. And what they know going into this, and this is just because I know you, is this is something you've been doing for 2 decades. So you know what works, what doesn't work, the order in which to do it so that you're not missing any steps, skipping any steps. It's very much taken through. And, from my understanding of school itself, that part of the benefit for the participant is that things are gamified. It's made
Yes,
fun.
it's fun.
It's not the school you remember necessarily, as a kid of sitting in a desk and doing a thing and that like they really gamify it to make it more fun to accomplish things and get things completed, right?
Yes, and there's instant feedback. So when you put something up, so it's like if I make an assignment, this week's was work on your marketing objectives. So,
Okay.
if they put their marketing objectives, then I actually my post was, would you share one of them? But they could share one or whatever. But there's a classroom section and there's a conversation section. And so we've now got this group of business owners going through this process together. They share their objectives, or they share these are the 20 people I would most like to work for. They share them, and people can go, oh, I know, Tom, the owner over there, or sure, my sister does whatever. And then all of a sudden you have this interaction and you're learning, or somebody says, oh, I had that same marketing goal, and this is what happened to me. And it's not that it's right or wrong. It still might be right for the person doing it, but somebody can
Right.
share, and you really miss some big mistakes by hearing other
Yeah.
people's experiences or just simply watching somebody else go through it. You can go, oh my gosh, I really want to do that. Or heaven forbid, I am never going to do that.
Yeah, that it is just as important in somebody's growth to know what is not for them as what is for them.
And you said is when you asked the question, you were talking about personal potential. And something I see people wanting to
Yeah.
do is like, I've got a graduate degree, but a lot of people are going, I want a graduate degree. I want this. I want this. And I'm not going to be able to help someone until I get this next degree or this next certification or whatever. And somebody really kind of changed my frame of mind recently by saying, wherever you are right now, whatever you're doing, whatever you've experienced, there is somebody who either wants to be there or doesn't want to be there. So, whatever
Mhm.
you know, whatever you have learned, wherever you are, it's not too big or too small. There's still thousands of people that either have not achieved that simple milestone or never want to be in your position. If you feel like, oh, I've done everything wrong, there are hundreds of people that could learn from that. And
Yeah.
school is a great place for people to share those things.
Well, and yeah, I totally see that because there are, in the coaching that I've been doing over the years, there's a number of leaders who have said, well, who am I to do X, Y, or Z? And I'm like, because you've been doing it for 5 years, because
I've been doing it for
you've,
20 years, good or
yeah,
bad. I've learned a
ex
lot.
exactly. Whatever that thing is, right? Whether, in the case of network marketing, for example, it was the people who, you've earned multiple trips. Do you know how few people earn trips? No, because people who are trip earners, right, then associate with other trip earners because they're on the trip with other trip earners.
Right. And
So
that's their best friends.
it
Yeah.
becomes it becomes this thing that's normalized for them, and they
Mhm.
forget how few people actually earn a trip, right? So it's the same thing in what you're talking about, in that there are a number of people of your clients, right, who have achieved X, Y, or Z in their business, and there are so many others who are like, man, they've hit their first $500,000 year, they've hit their first,
Mhm.
$1 million year, whatever it may be. And so there's other entrepreneurs who are looking at them going, I want that,
Mhm.
that's what I want. How did you get there? What did you do? And it was the marketing thing that they did. It was the growth piece that they experienced, because growing is not easy. So
When you talk about reframing something, when you say, just say my big wins this week. So I encourage people to talk about their big wins this week. And
yeah,
it seems like nothing at the time. You're really frustrated and you're like, yeah, I got this whatever up, but you're thinking I haven't done these 12 other things. And then you have two or three people in the group that say to you, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do that. I've been striving for, it took me 6 years to get there. And you're telling me you got there in 6 months. And the 6 month person is feeling terribly frustrated. But the 6 year person can say, yeah, and of course, the bigger organization you get, the slower it is. So a
yeah,
lot of people feel like they're doing something wrong as they get bigger, and really they're doing the right things. They've been successful. It's just harder now.
yeah. I mean, and I think too, well, I don't know where my brain was going with that. It just started going off in a tangent. I'm
Being
like, okay,
successful, yes.
yeah, and we all define success differently, right? And what you're talking about there is if anybody's read the book, the gap versus the gain, or 10x
Love
is
that
better
one.
than 2x, right? That those are 10x is better than 2x regularly refers to the gap in the gain, because I've not actually read the gap in the gain, but I've read enough of 10x is better than
You get the message.
2x to
Yeah.
have I get it. I could probably go through and read gap versus the gain, because yeah, I feel that so hard at times, and I just have to remind myself, the difference is, whether are you looking at the horizon, which never moves,
Mhm.
right? Or are you looking at how far you've come from where you were, right? And that makes a big difference in going, okay, so now I can go ahead and take the next step forward, because that takes me further away from where I was, closer to where I want to go, even though that goalpost keeps moving, because we as humans continue to move the goalpost forward, right? So what
Absolutely.
what somebody considers success right now, like especially in a marketing campaign or something, what they consider success right now is like was almost unthinkable or undreamable for them when they started their business,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For some people it's like, getting that first, quote unquote viral video, or
Hmm.
getting an
Hmm.
ad that converts, 100 new clients in a week, or whatever it may be, right? Those are the things that, so many people in the world of business are like, I I'm not even hitting 50 new clients a week, 50 new customers a month, whatever, right? Like, and they're again looking at that person who's ahead. So,
Well, and
um,
you don't get 50, you don't have 1,000 followers until you've had 50. I mean, it's
yeah,
a step in the process. And then as you're doing it, your first 50, you probably don't have your offer lined out really well. You don't have your messaging quite right. So it snowballs as you improve, but you will never get to 1,000 if you haven't done 50.
yeah, exactly. And so, it cracks
First
me up the
steps are
number of
hard.
people. Yeah, it cracks me up the number of people who are like, oh, I just have this, or I only have this, and and it's like, do you not see how cool that is because there are so many entrepreneurs who don't have that yet, right?
Yeah, I
But
can't make another video go viral. How many people in the world never make a video that goes
right.
viral?
Exactly, exactly. And it's, and one finger out, three fingers pointed back, right? Like so I was scrolling through Facebook while I was getting my hair done this morning because I can't do anything else. My glasses are off and I'm under the hair dryer while it's curing my color, right? And
And it turned out so well.
thank you.
Perfect.
But I remember scrolling through and seeing a post from somebody who I somehow got connected to this gal. Don't know how, don't remember who she is or what she does or anything like that. But I happened to, based on what she was posting about, I was like, oh, I'm going to go check out her page and check out what she's doing. And I noticed she had like 28,000 followers. And I was like, how'd she do that?
One follower at a time.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm like, oh, okay. Cause I'm sitting at somewhere between 5.5, 6,000 followers. So nothing to sneeze at. Good number of
No, that's
followers,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things again, one finger pointed out, three fingers pointed back at me of going, yeah, guys, I feel you too. Like I'm also doing the comparison, between myself and other people for where I want to be. But to me, I don't beat myself up over it. It's like, oh, look, that's a goal that I want to get to now. So now it's like, oh, okay, let's improve that follower count on Facebook. Let's build the LinkedIn connections. Let's grow all of these things, right? It's helping me begin to speak to your the conversation you were saying of the conversations that you're having in your school group with your community, you know, share a marketing objective so that we can do that. Like a marketing objective can be something like increasing number of followers, right? It's,
Right.
the goal for this campaign is get more followers,
Yeah.
right? Get more eyeballs on who I am and what I'm doing, right? Like just being able to do that and understanding that because I think most people just kind of do the spaghetti on the wall,
But you
right?
just captured something, you just mentioned something that's super, super important. It's that growing. You're saying, okay, I did this, and now it's like, so I got to this point, now I need to add this, and I need to add this. So you're talking about, you're not just managing one platform, you're managing a bunch of platforms and different messages and
Yes.
different groups. So your success has brought you to more work. And sooner or later, you can't do that all by yourself. And so then you're
Mm,
trying to hire someone to do something that's uniquely you. You're trying to clone yourself. You're trying to juggle too many things. That this
yeah.
point at which it's a natural stage of growth. You have done something right. You are good at what you do to have gotten into this painful position. And it's so easy to beat ourselves up
Right.
when really we've been successful and we're doing really, really well.
Right. So how does somebody know? Because again, this is an important part of business growth is how does somebody know when it's time to bring in a marketing person, to bring in someone like you? What is that? Is there one or two or three things that start showing up consistently that become that should be flags? And I'm not going to assign a color to the flag, whatever, but should be some sort of like, hey, maybe you should start thinking about bringing in a professional.
Well, marketing should be consistent. So I think the biggest flag, I always say random acts of marketing.
Okay.
If you find you spend a lot of money on ads, like if you get ads to bring in leads and then you don't follow up on those leads. So you have
Mm,
spent a lot of money that goes down the drain if you don't have an email nurture campaign or a salesperson that can call and follow up with those leads. Um,
yeah. Okay.
and then, or maybe you do follow up with those leads, but they never really get onboarded. Um, or they never really get product offering, or they never get entered in the database where they get sale information. Um, so then you have these pieces out there and they're all disjointed. They're not the good marketing, the customer should have a smooth journey, a whole, when you get the lead, they get an email. When they purchase, they get, whatever. And then they should work until they are ambassadors for your brand. and out there selling for you. And when you get it all right, you don't have to do as much of the early phase kinds of stuff because they're out there spreading the word for you. But it's a hard, time-consuming process, and you've got to have a lot of pieces in place.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, yeah, so there's some definite things there that people can be looking out for when that time comes.
Mhm.
Because not everybody's for Carolyn Green and Associates and vice versa, right? But understanding like that beginning piece of, you know, the growth, like you said,
Where
that
are you right now?
the
Yeah,
painful piece of growth is realizing, okay, I can't be the one anymore because things are falling through the cracks because I can only do so much and I can only automate so much because I only know so much to be able
right.
to do the various things, right? It's time to bring in someone who literally is an expert in this and they're going to
Right.
make it in such a way that you're not going to miss out on
Mhm.
those clients, those customers who um, have frankly been looking for you, right? That's why the ad showed up in their feed. That's why the information got to them somehow because they self-identified in some way, shape, or form in their online behavior that the ad showed up on their feed,
Right.
right?
And early on, you may not need a full-time person. You may not need to, spend $50,000 on a marketing agency. You might be able to just automate a process. But you can either spend the hours to figure out how to automate the process, or you can hire somebody to come in and teach you how to, and do it for you. And a lot of times that can be done in, 6 weeks or something like that. So you're just saying, I'm going to automate this one stage. And kind of do it stage by stage, and make it easier and more affordable.
Yeah. And I mean, there are so many options out there. So knowing how to find the right marketing person for them, like what should somebody be looking for when they now go, okay, I've started hitting those markers that are telling me it's time to bring somebody in. How do they find the right marketing person or the right marketing agency, coach, consultant, whatever for them? Like what should they be looking out for?
Yep. The first thing is to ask who in your industry or your community that does something similar has used somebody, and be sure it's
Okay.
um, something similar. The marketing principles, I can jump into any industry, but that being able to know kind of, I usually do service businesses as
Okay.
opposed to product. So somebody who, if I need to sell X number of products, find out somebody else who has sold X number of products and how they have done it.
Yeah.
A tip right now is Google Business Profile seems to be the best for getting the word out, and it's still free. You can do it yourself. It's
Right.
obviously better if you have an SEO agency, but a lot of those start at $3,000 a month, and you don't have to do. I've had clients that have optimized their Google profile, and one client got a $50,000 job within 2 weeks of optimizing their Google profile. Now, that doesn't happen for everybody. Sometimes you need
Right. Right. There's
to
always an outlier.
what's working right now. I can tell you, it's like where I've been working with a lot of clients. I've had a lot of clients have success. Their phone starts ringing when they optimize their Google profile.
Hmm.
People say it even worked for me. I've never had to do much of my own marketing. Again, I was small. I was only taking a few clients at a time,
Yeah.
and my clients sold me to their colleagues. So I rarely had to spend money on marketing. It was all word of mouth. But I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this Plan as You Grow group on school, I got to reach a larger audience, and it would work for anybody. So I want it to be broadly available for anyone who's looking for it. So I'm like, okay, I'll do this. I had my first client in 20 years of business call me and say, "Oh yeah, I found you on Google." And you showed up as, they shopped on Google. I was the only person they called because they said I was the best option for what they were needing.
Perfect, right? And
It
that's
even worked for me.
right, exactly. Well, and that's the proof is in the pudding, right? That
Mhm.
when you can do that for yourself, right? Then other people who want that, which is, you know, I want calls from Google. I want people to find me on Google. I want whatever that is, right? You've proved that you can do that not only for other people but now also for yourself because the number of times I talk to people who are not just in marketing in all kinds of business and their business isn't producing for their own business but they produce for other people right
Definitely. Yeah.
the number of times it happens but now that you have that is also that's just your first there's going to
Mhm.
be more who will find you like that because one of the things I learned from my first podcast that I told my podcast coach from the get-go was when I wanted people that when they found my podcast, the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast, the BDSM theme, the tongue-in-cheek, ha ha ha, isn't that funny? Because it's not really a kink podcast,
It's
it's a
cute. It's cute.
business podcast, right? But I wanted people who got the joke,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
wanted people who looked at that, laughed, and were like, I have to listen to an episode. I
I got to
have
do
to
this.
know what this, yeah, right?
You'd better do it or Jenny will get out her whip.
Right, exactly. Except I've never actually whipped anybody, right? But what's so funny is the first time that it actually happened, I found out about it happening through social media. I got a notification on TikTok that somebody had tagged me, and I had no idea who this person was. And I was like, what is that? Like, and so I went and I watched the video that she made. And what it was is she said, um, hey, I'm out doing my therapy, walking the dog, and listening to my favorite podcaster, Jennie Bellinger, Badass Direct
Aw,
Sales Mastery. And I was like, oh my God. Like
you're
just
touching someone's life.
right. And so I reached out to
Real.
her and I was like, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That like oh my god, complete stranger loves my show, like
Hmm.
which shouldn't really matter because my friends love the show, my clients love the show, but it's that extra level of validation, right? but
Different. Yeah.
it's but that just goes to show the power of marketing
Hmm.
to the right person because then through that conversation she became a client,
Hmm.
right? That showed that process could happen right
Right.
through the podcast piece, right? And it
Anyone,
has,
anywhere in any country could go, oh, I connect with that.
yeah,
I want to, yeah, that helps me get through my day. That helps me stick with it.
exactly. And, and the point I'm making with that story is that has now happened multiple times.
Mhm.
I've now had not just through TikTok, but through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through like almost through every one of the platforms, had someone tag me, comment on my stuff. And I'm like, who the heck is this? And I find out that they found me because they found my podcast first,
Hmm.
went and clicked on all my social media stuff, started following me everywhere, but didn't know until they
Yeah.
said something, right?
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that if you got your first Google person, first client through Google, it's going to keep
There'll
happening.
be
There are
more. Yeah.
more people like
Well,
that.
I hadn't optimized my profile. Google doesn't know. It used to be your website. It would be like, oh, I put SEO, but Google uses Google Business Profile.
Yep.
And then most of the other search engines refer to it as well. So if you don't define yourself, eh, you're missing out. It just Google optimizing your profile is
Yeah.
your way of telling search engines who you are and what you want.
Mm. Now you've got me thinking about, okay, got to make sure I do that for my podcast business.
Well,
You know.
and you need to do regular updates.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just running their Facebook. They'll start running their Facebook ads on Google profile, and that's a thing to do. But it's the search engines are looking for something very different than people who are looking for social connection are looking for. It's a whole
Right.
different tool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess, just putting a Facebook post up there is better than doing nothing. Um, but yeah,
Right.
to be able to direct the search engines when people should call them, when people should call me, It
Right.
probably worked. And I don't have a lot up. I just have a little bit.
Right. That well it and it's amazing. Like just sometimes those little how just a few little tweaks can take something that somebody thinks isn't working to all of a sudden now that's what gave traction. That's what really caused something to start
Mhm.
going and moving. And I think that's
And
so
back to your
cool. Like,
comment on, trying to find the personal journey, when you can know more about who you are and what you want and who you are personally, when you can give that to Google, it's much more able to match you
mm,
with other people. But
yeah,
I'm just also a firm believer in, when you throw it out there for the universe, when you're clear on what you believe and what you want and what your gift is, what you're strong at. When you throw it out there, people will find you, and there are tools to help that happen.
exactly. Exactly. So speaking to the personal growth then, so over the years of running your own marketing agency, what have been the personal growth things that you've done that have helped your business grow? So
Be con-
whether it's books or programs that you've done, what are some of the things so that way we can just help more people grow personally?
be consistent. My tagline is make marketing manageable. Quit trying to do these big, glorious, whatever. It's what can you do every day. And my favorite book is one my daughter grew up and started giving me and started sharing information with me.
Yeah.
So at some point, my daughter brought me the book and said, "This is the best book ever. You have to read it." And I was like, I kind of started it and was like, but it's The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
Oh yeah.
Probably the most life changing for me. The concept that there's a whole lot of things that break down into really simple, easy steps, and it's easy to do them. It's just as easy not to do them. And until you say to yourself, these are my a couple of goals, and these are the things I have to do.
Okay.
Whether it would be, these are the things I need to eat well. I like to eat lean meats and vegetables. So it's like, don't get stuck in all the diet plans and stuff like that. It's just, I want to eat lean meats and vegetables. I want my marketing practice to grow. So I need to go beyond my current clients. What can I do? Um, right now, I'm trying to do 3 calls a day. So I want to invite 3 people a day to my school group. And just
Okay.
reach out to the people that I have worked with over the years and say, hey, we did this together, or even hey, we talked and it wasn't the right time for you, or it wasn't the right price point for you, and just let them know that this is here. But just something I can do. I can do 3 calls a day. I can do that before I do anything else. It's not hard. And I'm hoping it'll bring results and change the way I do business from just a few clients to whoever needs to do who wants to work the process.
Well, and I mean, I think that's honestly how you ended up on the podcast, right? Like not reach out to me to be on the school group necessarily, although I'm going to go pop in and check it out for sure. Um, it- but it was just the communication. You ended up in the What You Need to Grow podcast community,
Yeah,
and
you reached out to me and said this matches, and yeah,
yeah,
so
well, and it's so funny because I created that community on Facebook, right? Not to start bringing people in yet, right? My goal was to have the community started so that way I could point people in my marketing so that when people signed up to get email notifications about when the podcast is coming out, that they would get something in the emails that would say, hey, the the way you grow is you've got to have conversations with other people who are also in the same situation. Come grow with us, come talk with us, have a conversation. Like if you learn something from this guest that I had on the show, I want you to come communicate with them in the group. Right.
mhm,
And so here's the link to the group. I just needed the link so I could put it in the email marketing. Right.
right.
And I went to so I created the group, did not invite anybody to it. I did not invite anybody to it. What happened is I went back to go look at it because I needed the link or something. And I went in there and there were 40 people in the group because Facebook told everybody that I created this group and they all went, I want in. I hadn't even put the little digital
I have no
doorman,
idea how I found it. I did. It
right?
just Actually, probably thought you invited me. The
May and you may have been part of the group that I then went, okay, there's 40 people who are in the group because it was at 40 that I
Mhm.
noticed that there were people in the group that I didn't invite. They and when I put a post in there going, guys, how did you end up here? And like the resounding response was, well, I saw you were doing something and it
Mhm.
looked interesting, so I
Oh,
joined.
yeah.
Like, and I hadn't even put the digital doorman on yet, and that's what I call it when you have the, post or not post approval, but join approval and putting the
Mhm.
questions there. So I hadn't done any of that yet. I still don't have anything that stops people from coming into the community because I'm like, look, if people find it, hella frickin' Luya, let's do this. But what I did then at that point was go, well, if there's 40 people here who came here because they thought it was cool, I wonder if I started inviting people, what would happen? And I may have invited you at that point. I don't know because I went through and went, oh, I think they would enjoy this. I think they would. I think they might be a good guest on on the show, and just kept putting people in because I either thought they would be a listener of the show or a
Yeah.
potential guest on the show because they had a
Mhm.
business that talks about either personal or business development, right?
Mhm.
So that group growth happened initially just quote unquote by accident, and then it started going by design. It was one small little tweak that just went, oh, okay, well, let's do that. And then the next piece will be adding in the digital doorman to ask the questions and say, okay, hey, would have you signed up to receive the emails for when an episode goes live? Because you don't want to miss an episode because we're going to have amazing guests coming in. So,
Mhm.
that's the next step. But for now, I'm like, just
It's such
grow
a
it.
valuable topic because as business owners, when we are growing, we get so busy.
Yeah,
We can't do all the networking we used to do, and you don't have as many coffee meetings, and
for sure.
you're just slammed all the time, and there's probably more people in your life, but they're making demands on you. Um, and so being able to sit down on a podcast and listen and connect with somebody we value and trust is a really gift.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that at least in the case of the podcast is I'm only putting out people who I know are quality. There's it's not anybody who finds me and asks to be on the show gets on the show kind of thing. I'm vetting people
Mhm.
because we're talking about a really important piece of life, which is growth.
Mhm.
And whether it's business growth, whether it's personal growth, that's a really important piece. So, but I love the fact that the Slight Edge is
It is.
your favorite book. I'm
It
aware of
just
it.
takes it
I've
down
not
to
read it.
it's such a simple piece. You can
Yeah,
every day you are either going to grow or you're going to take a step backwards, or you're either going to grow or you're not going to do anything. And
yeah,
it puts you on a trajectory. And he has a little map that, here's your trajectory. And if you're doing that thing every day, and there's no way you're going to do anything every day or whatever, but as long as you can figure out what it is you want and
yeah,
make just any kind of a little baby step, then once you're on the trajectory, it snowballs and you just find yourself. Um, he uses the compounding interest as an example, how much
mm,
it changes down the road, and you find yourself um, living the results of your little actions every day.
yeah, exactly. Well, it one of the things we'll be doing with the show is creating a list of all the books that people
Excellent
recommend,
plan. Yeah.
because it's so important because I'm aware of the Slight Edge, but I've not yet read it, so that can go on my
Yeah.
list.
Atomic
Um,
Habits is supposed to be pretty close. I started that one time, but
which
the
one?
Atomic Habits
Oh
supposed to be a
yeah,
very similar message
yeah,
that
yeah.
I think just connects with just as many people.
That makes a lot of sense. And again, that's another one that I'm aware of, haven't read yet. Because for me, I see a book this thick and my brain goes, I don't have time for that.
Audiobooks.
Yeah, well,
My
yeah,
car time. Yeah.
exactly. Well, and that's the other piece of this is where do you find that time to do those things, right? So you're doing a lot of audibles then it sounds like.
hmm
Okay.
I but I'm like you, it's so nice to have somebody who will make recommendations Because
Yeah.
if I sit down there and look at all the stuff, Audible books, iBooks, they have like millions of recommendations. And actually, I had a friend recommend one that was just awful. I was like, it was a marketing book, and she said, "Would you read this with me?" And I went, like I barely made it through the first chapter, and in the second chapter, I was like, "This is just terrible." And it was some good information, but it just jumped all over the place.
Poorly
And
written.
yeah,
Yeah, that can be hard for sure. Well, and that's why I want to have these recommendations is so people, can go pick something based off of the fact that somebody says, look, the slide edge was beneficial because this, and this, right? And if somebody is in the space where they're like, yeah, I need something that's going to teach me how to take those baby steps or whatever, that's going to be so helpful for somebody. So speaking of baby steps,
yes,
your school group is something that helps people take baby steps in their
yes.
marketing, be able to go through, learn one little concept at a time, and implement the next piece, and then the next piece, and the next piece. And so, tell us about the school group. Give us more information about like who is it good for, you know, who could find benefit from it.
It's geared for small business owners that are like shooting for their first million or like 1 to 3 million, not really big yet, probably have a marketing person or an admin in their office trying to do something, but really don't have the strategic focus they need. And they're also
Okay.
really overwhelmed. And actually, any marketing manager or business owner that just is feeling overwhelmed, because the idea is I break it down and kind of do a task a week. Um, and so my
Hmm.
task a week right now is adding up to the concept that by January you'll have a marketing plan in place. So we're recording this a little bit before we're going to be live on air. So
Sure.
if you're joining now, you're going to have to scramble to have. You probably won't have it in by the first of the year, but you can have it by
Right.
end of the end of January, to
Yeah.
say, kind of take a hard look at where we are, the tools we use, and make some decision calls on what will get us to our goals. So for the year ahead, what is it that we're going to do? And then I'm hoping that by January, folks will have like a 90-day or year-long kind of campaign path they will follow. That we can do upgrades every 90 days so that I call them marketing maps, so that you update your marketing map every 90 days so that you're clear about real simple priorities. But as opposed to having all of that marketing stuff, you're just thinking about one thing this week. If I can do
Hmm.
my one task, if I, encourage people to set an hour or two, um, and do the task for this week, keep this top of mind. I do a weekly email. Just keep marketing top of mind. Yes, it's going to slip some days, you're going to have some crisis, but then also we've got our whole team here so that if you want us to implement it for you, so we can do it yourself or done for you, or you just get to something that's just too hard, we can do that section for you. um,
Okay.
then you've got a whole support group of other business owners walking the same process. So um, if you're not creative and want some creative ideas, or if you're very creative and maybe need some ideas on how to balance and implement,
Right. They
there's a
need the
team
structure because what I find is highly creative people are not very good
needs
at structuring
structure.
themselves.
Yeah, yeah. So they can kind of put it all together. And honestly, I think it's the support group more than anything. The
Yeah.
idea of if I can get people sharing and working the process and talking about it in the community, um, we have the same problems. In
Yeah.
totally different industries, you hit the same things on kind of a different level. It might be
Right.
um, a little bit different in your industry, but the bottom line problem is engagement. How do we get people to engage with our product, with our brand, with our salesperson, with
Yes.
our whatever? It's engagement. How do we get leads? And there's 100 ways of doing it, and some of them are very, very expensive,
Yeah.
um, and some of them are not. And
Right.
can you will the low cost ways work for you? Or maybe you need a mix, or maybe, and the bigger you go, the more you need. But
Right.
if you're doing multiple ways lead generators, then you may need multiple ways of nurturing the leads that come in.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Especially if
you
somebody
definitely need
has
a salesman to close it.
Yeah. And if somebody has a bunch of different products, or a variety of products or a variety of services, those are different nurture sequences for each of those things
Absolutely.
because they're going to attract, in most cases, probably attract a slightly different client, right? Who's in a
Or the
different
other
stage.
stages, yeah. So yeah, you've got this person and they may know you very well. So then, the next stage they may go sequentially, but a lot of times you're gonna have somebody drop in late sequence, and you've got to be there for them too.
Right, exactly. Well, and I think you talked about you're hoping to make it so that people can get this done by January, but honestly, to me, what comes up in this is, yeah, a lot of people start the new year in January, or think about that, but honestly, any business owner who has a plan in place and implements that plan is miles, light years ahead of almost everybody else, which is why, in my personal opinion, a piece of why, what, 87%, 90% of startups fail within 5 years is because those that didn't develop the plan, didn't follow the plan, didn't come up with ways of following through, onboarding, nurturing, they didn't develop
Great.
those things.
Yeah, or they're not including how to pivot in their plan because
Yeah.
every plan is going to have things that don't work.
Yeah.
So, when you hit that thing where, so we've got a plan and how do we pivot and um,
Yeah.
kind of working through that. But yeah, the idea that the what's going on right now, if you want to, you can just start this in January.
Yeah.
So for a lot of business, this would be something perfect to start in January.
Yeah. And I think what is, again, a plan at any time is better than no plan at the beginning of January. Let's be honest, guys.
I,
So what is really fun and what I am so happy that we're able to talk about is you and I were chatting before we got this going, and we decided that we would like to have the ability to offer the What You Need to Grow community a Black Friday deal, because this episode is going to come out the week of Thanksgiving of 2025, and you really want to help a lot of people who, entrepreneurs specifically, who are in that space of, okay, I've got to do something. It is time to start thinking about marketing for 2026. It's, either because they're ramping up in the holidays right now, or they're getting ready to ramp up for the new year, depending on their service. So what's the deal we're going to be offering to the What You Need to Grow community for Black Friday?
well, Jenny, what we have been doing is we're charging $97 a month for anyone who wants to be in the community. That
Mm.
gets you access to all the classroom materials and then the community of owners. We have a great community, a number of folks that are mentors as well as people who are working the plan. We're in several countries. We've got two people in Canada already and a couple in Europe.
Wow.
So it's, yeah, some different perspectives, but mostly service professionals or products that are valuable to folks. And we can help you devise your plan to make marketing manageable for the year ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's normally 97, but the Black Friday deal. So for those of you who are listening, the week of Thanksgiving, be glad that you got this on time, because November 27th through the 30th of 2025, what's the deal?
$77. And that's a magic number, magic number.
It is. We chose that number because we were looking at the numbers, and I said, 77 is the year I was born. Are we cool with doing that? And so I twisted Carolyn's arm and got her to say yes to 77, because y'all, it was an amazing year. And you know what? $77 a month to get a marketing plan in place, and then support to make sure you do the thing, and someone there to answer questions, to figure out why something isn't working, or it only kind of worked. So how can we tweak this? Like being able to ask in the community, what can we do? I need feedback. So you don't have to do your marketing alone. And guys, just take a look at it. If you don't love it, leave the group. But
There's a week free trial, and it
oh,
really,
look.
Yeah, it really is priority to do it now. When we get our core group, it's gonna go up to 197 a month. So we're expecting that to happen by the first of the year. So
Oh,
this is the
wow.
time you guys have a deal. So
Yeah, absolutely. Get in now while you can. Be one of those people who, because your marketing is what's going to feed the rest of your business. That's what brings people to your virtual door. You're getting your phone to ring, as we were talking earlier, whatever it may be, what your process is to get people to you. Marketing is the way to do that. So, Carolyn, thank you so much for being here. This was such a fascinating conversation. I so appreciate you.
so fun. Thank you.
You are very welcome. And of course, what you need to grow community, what I want you to do is check the show notes if you want to reach out to Carolyn. We have her contact information as well as many of her social media links so that you can connect with her there. And
Plan
we will have
Hey,
the
plan
link.
as you grow on school.
What's that?
It's the Plan as you grow group on school.
Exactly. So we'll have the Plan as You Grow group on school. The link to that will be in the show notes, or if you're on YouTube, it's in the description. And of course, we will have this in our Gift to Grow vault. So all of our guest gifts are going into a vault called the Gift to Grow vault. So that way people can go in, access all the gifts from all of the guests. That we have for the podcast. So that's where you guys can grab that. And make sure you hit the follow button. Go join the What You Need to Grow podcast community on Facebook. It is free, y'all. Go in there. And if you haven't signed up at whatyouneedtogrow.com, to make sure you get the email so you don't miss an episode, because you never know what you're going to need to grow. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you for listening to What You Need to Grow. Be sure to follow the show on your favorite podcast platform or subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. Want updates straight to your inbox? Sign up at whatyouneedtogrow.com and you'll get notified each time a new episode goes live. Here's to your growth. This has been What You Need to Grow with Jennie Bellinger.